Guys, VHB Engines, welcome back. We have a guest star, Ariel, coming to see. Alright, yeah, so I said I wasn't going to take the crank out. I made a liar of myself because there it is. But it's going to be a little quicker for me to get in there and really check and make sure there's no debris. And I'm going to clean up the fucking bearings before I put everything back in. And, oh, see, there's more of these that are tight than the head studs were. But, you know, as you can see right here, that there's wiggle in some of them. So they had to come out. And again, the nuts were torqued, but the fucking studs, which it kind of trips me out. Even more on this one than it does on the head, because there was two that were tight. But on this, there's a whole bunch more. Okay, let's see. That one's tight. That one's tight. That one's not. Did I skip one? Okay, two are loose here. That's tight, loose, loose, tight, tight, tight. Okay, so my theory is that the ones that are tight were tightened because when he torqued on the fucking nuts, when he torqued on the nuts, it just spun the stud in place and they locked up. That's no go. Don't do that. So. Alright, what I'm going to do, clean up the gunk, take a look at all the bearings all the way around, put it back together. Honestly, this night is not going to be too cheechy, because this is shit that I've already gone over a bunch of times with you guys. I'll leave links. I'll dig through my fucking videos to see where I've talked about stuff like this before, and I'll leave it in the description. So, yeah, I'm not gonna take this one because my tank is really ooey gooey, and it's gonna take me a whole fucking night alone to clean this block, just because it's so nasty in my tank already. So, but you know, this is doable. You can actually, it's just glazed. It's not caked on there, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll be fine to go. Just gotta clean out that fucking puddle of oil. You see it? You see it jiggling? It's oil. It's gross. Other than that, I don't see any fucking problems. Yeah. Although I think I will include something tonight that I haven't done before. I'm going to talk about gapping your rings. I know that the one thing that a lot of amateur builders or people who want to build that they get to that they're really scared about, the reason why most people back off is because of the ring gap. Because honestly, even myself, I'm looking online and it's hard to find the specific shit for. I found it before, but I didn't fucking thumbnail it because I'm stupid. I just kind of like fucking pocketed it in my brain. And there's just, you know how there's certain things you remember, you just go back to automatically. You don't remember the details of how you got to it, but you know that's the information and it's right. So I'm going to teach you, or I'm going to tell you guys how I go off of my shit. And this is one of the things I kind of kept to myself while I was doing my builds, because I know there's a lot of haters who will fucking talk shit about the way I do it. But like I told you before, I don't really have haters because I'm still fucking unknown. So I'll tell you my secret, and then y'all can judge me. You shouldn't judge me. Just judge silently. Fuckers. Nice long gap here. In the meantime, crank came out, got inspected, had clean, went back in, RTV'd up the oil fucking pump, and rear main seal. Those are on. Now we're about to be onto that fun part, the fucking piston rings. So yeah, because like I said earlier, I've never done the fucking mains before. Looked up the fucking torque specs on the mains, and I was surprised to find they're the exact same as the fucking head studs, 80 fucking foot-pounds. So that was fun. I don't have a beefy chest, you see? My chest is not beefy. It fucking hurted me. It's not fucking cool. I mean, cool for the extra tightness for the engine, but not cool for me torquing it. It fucking blows cock. Alright. So we got somewhat painted. I'm gonna fucking finish that up once the head gets on. But somewhat painted, yeah. So starting to look more like a VHB build here. Alright, so I'm about to flip it over and start playing with rings. So I said I was going to talk about rings. So repeat what I just said. I know that a lot of the guys, when they do their rings, they just they take the piston ring down right here, that part of the piston. But see, you can see how it's even even here, it kind of raised up over here because you can't properly balance. So what I like to do, take it all the way down to the very bottom, and I hold my fingers on each side, and you can feel it when it gets there. Fuck, man, I'm fucking way off.
Hold it.
No, I got it. I'm still trying to get this fucking good. So, because I don't know when I'm getting the camera. Alright. So, alright. You can get a little walk around. And pop that mother sucker back out. And then you see the El Pistone ring down there? And I'm pretty sure that I've talked about. I've showed the filler gauges popped in there. So once again, I'll give you a link for the single cam rebuild right there. Anyway, okay. So my secret trademark to making sure your cylinders are not out of round and all that good stuff. Let's sit down for it. It's gonna be a minute. Talk a lot of shit. Okay. So, do I have a bore gauge? Yes. Do I use it? No. Why? Adds a whole lot of time to your build. A whole lot of time. And I already spend a whole lot of time. So, I use my own tried and true method, and I use the ring itself to gauge the engine bore. Of course, you know, it's not 100% science, but it hasn't failed me yet, and it actually did help me avoid building a bad engine one time. I had a B16 that turned out to be out of round. Bought rings for it, went to go rebuild it, put the rings in. Gap was fucking enormous. And it was OEM rebuild, so of course I bought OEM rings, or not OEM rings, but fucking I bought rings that were OEM replacement. And when you buy rings, you know, stock rings, they generally tend to come, you know, right around stock clearances, and those clearances are going to be a fuck ton tighter than when you run a boost. So for me to see a gap that was like yay fucking big, when you can clearly see here that, well, you can't clearly see because there's no fucking light. God damn it. But you just saw it before. Oh yeah, slice. Haha. You see that gap there? It's still kind of tight. And that's and that ring is, you know, it's an oversized ring for a forged piston. So imagine me putting a stock ring in there where clearances are fucking way tighter and seeing, you know, like a yay big gap. Like, in no exaggeration, it was really that fucking big. So I called the company. I was like, hey, bro, you guys sent me fucking bad rings. No, we didn't, you know, or if you're insisting on it, you can send it back. We're going to measure them in our own engine, and we'll base the refund on that. So at the time, I was still working at home, and I had blocks like all over the room. So I grabbed one of my B18 blocks, and I put the rings in there, and sure enough, the gap was fucking fine. So the rings will tell you if your cylinders have a fucking problem. There you go. So I use the rings themselves to check the trueness for the bore. Now, to get a good gauge on it, all you got to do is just adjust the height of the ring. Just you push it down further to take another check of it again, see if it's still straight. So you can put the piston ring up real high, and then push it down low, and then check it again, and that'll tell you whether you're good or not. Alright, so now for gapping the rings, the thing that it scares everybody. For gapping the rings, you're just like when you buy OEM, that are usually cut to come to, you know, within standard tolerances. Generally speaking, those tolerances are different on OEM blocks because the age of the block. You know, of course, that it comes from the factory, 75 millimeter, fucking 15, 20 years of engine wear. It's not going to be 100%. What you're doing is gauging to see if it's still in tolerance, and you know, which you'll see. Like, so the gap will be like, let's say 14,000 or 12 thousandths of an inch to 14 thousandths of an inch, but it's still within standards tolerances. Now for the oversized, or I'm not even gonna fuck with oversized, but for forged pistons, you know, they're aluminum, so they expand. They're not like cast piston rings, tighter gaps, because they're fixed. They don't really expand with the heat, so they have to stay tight. Now when you're putting a forged piston in, they have looser gaps because to compensate for that expanding metal. Now, just like OEM replacements, generally the rings come within OEM specs. I've never had to cut any OEM rings. Your forged piston rings will come already generally in the speaking of what a forged piston ring should be, or the forged piston should be at. It's going to be a looser clearance. Now the exception to this is the top compression ring. The top compression ring is going to be tighter, not OEM tight, but it's going to be a lot tighter than your secondary compression ring. I check all my motors like this. This is tried and true method. I always order my rings from the same buyer and seller anyway, so it's always the same. Of course, I always check them. The top ring will be a lot looser than the secondary compression ring will be a lot looser than the top one is. So what I do is I put the second compression ring in first. I check that one. Now, based off that clearance is how I cut my first ring. Again, this is not, I don't go to my computer and punch in like 5,000 different numbers, add and subtract, and fucking, calculate based off PSI from a certain turbo with a certain compressor housing and turbine rings and all that shit. I just, what's the tolerances for boost, and go off that. Now, the second compression ring, let's say, is just the shoot out number 26 thousandths of an inch, right? Now, how I cut my first ring is based off that. I won't cut the second ring. If the second ring comes in at 26 thousandths of an inch, I like to go within 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch for cutting my top ring. So I'll come in like 21, 22. I'll make my cuts, check, and once I get around that, then I'll leave it, because that's what your gaps are going to be. They're going to differ between 4 thousandths of an inch and 6 thousandths of an inch. So I just come around there. And again, that's also a tried and true method that I've had. I've built several engines now. That's the way I've done it. I haven't had a problem yet. Now, maybe one day something will happen where I cover down and correct. This is why I like to do a lot of the engines, like especially for my own, like the Suicide Block. I experiment with things that I wouldn't feel comfortable doing for other customers. I do for myself first, and then once I've proven it to myself, I will do it for a block that I'm building for somebody or that I'm going to specifically sell. Also, I think maybe once I've taken a chance on a customer's build, or not a customer build, like somebody that I build that I knew I was going to sell, and I just prepared to take the loss if something happens, or if something were to go bad. I just prepared to eat that and do a rebuild, or for replace parts from my pockets, do a free rebuild, or give the money back. So far, haven't had any problem, and I've got a couple dozen engines out there now. Alright, so yeah, that was my big secret that I've been hiding for all this time and making videos that I didn't want to tell nobody the details of. So now you guys fucking know. And for anybody in the future that may come and try and challenge it, the question I would say to you first before making any kind of response is, how many engines have you built? Yeah. Okay, so fuck. In the wee hours of the morning, whatever time it is, what time is it?
3 o'clock.
Oof. In the 3 o'clock, god damn, that shit's shiny as fuck, man. It looks like fucking He-Man's sword or Excalibur. Thundercats, fucking Lido, what's that shit? Oh. Okay, so I was fucking dropping the ring on there, and I was getting ready to clock it, and then I decided to stop, take a look at the piston. And I don't know, maybe you can see it in the camera. I think it's a little bit more obvious on the camera, but this is a shiny ass fucking piston, and it's pretty, and I was hypnotized, and I wasn't really paying attention, and I'm fucking glad that I moved like a sloth, because in my slothiness, I caught that the piston is backwards, and I checked the other one that I was using to push the ring in, no, it was backward too. And I guess that what threw the guy off is that the stamp, everybody thinks that the exhaust side is, everybody imagines the front of the engine being the exhaust side, when the front of the engine is technically the timing side right there. So anyway, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, but anyway, the bigger valve reliefs face the intake side, and the tang marks face the exhaust. So you see tang marks and big side line up, so it's no go. So yeah, I gotta do that. That fucking sucks. First time for everything. Gotta leave it with just one piston. Yeah, I've never done this before, but it's 3. And I've been here like, we've been here like 4 hours.
5 hours, I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna come here tomorrow after work. 1 down, 3 to go, and then it's just head time. So I thank Ariel for coming out, spending some time. This is the very first time that I've had somebody with me this long for a build, because Kino let me down. Fuck you, Kino, when you watch this, you disappoint me. I'm just kidding. I understand I'm leaving you, so you don't think it's relevant anymore. Anyway, yeah, 3 more. I gotta turn around the fucking pistons, gap the other ones. I got lucky. I had a first time go with gapping this fucking ring. Like it literally landed exactly perfectly where I was aiming for. Usually it comes up short and I have to do it 3 times. And then when I finally get to the end, it's a little bit higher than I wanted. So, put some gloves on, go home. I'll eat that sandwich that was donated to me. It's great stuff. Alright guys, so big surge in subscribers recently. I normally tell you guys at the end of my videos to fucking hit me up on Facebook if y'all want to comment. There has been some comments going on recently, and it's cool to have it. You know, one of the commenters even gave me an idea for a video that I am going to do later. Dude, I forgot your fucking name. It starts with a J. My bad. But you know who you are. So I'm going to be... I said I was going to do some bullshit videos about my road trip and everything, but I'm going to actually script out, write some footnotes down for a talk on parts OEM versus the eBay. eBay's not a fucking brand. We're going to talk about this because this upsets me. I've never ordered a part that says eBay on it. Show me a fucking part that says eBay. I'll talk about that more in that video. Thanks for watching. Peace.